Hello everyone and welcome to a new video. So today we're going to be talking about reasons why you should have a Demon Prince in your Thousand Sons army. So I just recently came back from the WTC, which is the World Team Championship, playing in the War Master Singles, which was a 278 man event, and I ran a Demon Prince. And I have to say, profoundly, there were some really good aspects to it. Now, I know what you're thinking. Demon Prince is super expensive, TJ. And we are talking about the Demon Prince on foot. So, of course, the most expensive version. But I believe that the benefits of the Demon Prince far outweigh his cost. So, let's get started with those benefits. Number one, stealth. So stealth is a good mechanic for our Thousand Sons army, especially if you are taking, the rubric spam, which is like 25 rubrics. 25 rubrics that are all -1 a hit makes them very annoying to deal with. And then Magnus at -1 a hit also is very annoying to deal with. Now it is a 6-inch bubble, but I mean, you can easily make that work. The Demon Prince is not the fastest, but he's not really shooting much. He's really just an auxiliary support piece. So you can run him, get him to a good position, and then kind of position the rest of your army around him. Now, he doesn't go through walls, which is unfortunate, but, Magnus can give him +2 movement, which makes him movement 9, which is pretty good, especially when you get an advanced roll on top of that. So he'd get to where he needs to get to, firstly. And then, like I said, Magnus at -1, your rubrics at -1 are really powerful. It's also really good for the Terminators to get -1 to hit, because they're -1 to hit and then -1 to wound if they're higher strength, which is really powerful. So another good ability for them. And then secondly, the big deal, which is the once per game precision. So once per game precision seems like a cute ability and not super impactful, but let's talk about why it is. So there are a lot of armies right now in 40K that like to use characters, right? They like to move around the board. They like to have their characters do the work for them. And the Demon Prince disrupts that ability, right? Because he makes it so that those characters, if they are seen, they are going to get killed. So they have to hide these characters. So the utility of maybe their shooting abilities or the mobility of that unit is hampered. So a couple good examples of this is like the GSC matchup, right? In the GSC matchup, now when these units of Neophyte come in, that Primus has to end up behind a wall. So now the unit's getting strung out, so maybe all the guns aren't firing, and the aberrants, if they're taking aberrants, like when they make charges or when they move around the board, they have to make sure that the Biophagus or the Abominant gets, in cover behind a wall so that he doesn't get shot and killed. And it just kind of changes the dynamic of the actual army. So instead of them putting these big blobs in 3-mans or, metamorphs or the neophytes with the characters just out and about in the middle of the board, they're really forced to second guess that, because the Demon Prince can just look at that squad and just have either the Terminators or the rubrics pick them up. And like in the GSC matchup, even more than the other matchups that I'm going to talk about, like 5 rubrics with a character inside of it, like the Sorcerer or the Exalted Sorcerer, will pick up a Primus, right? They'll do additional damage to the rest of the squad, but once you lose that Primus, that squad loses a lot of its efficacy. Like, you don't do as much damage, you don't have, the same kind of output that you normally would. So, in, other cases, like the Biophagus or the Abominant, it drastically reduces their power level. So, that's the GSC matchup. But then you have some other matchups. So first things first, Thousand Sons is another matchup that it actively favors, right? Terminator Brick, Ahriman, Exalted Sorcerers, normal Sorcerers. For you to be able to drop down with either your Terminators or coming off a flank with your Flamers and just be able to pick up, Ahriman and then shoot the rest of the Flamers at another unit, that's really powerful. And then if the Terminators come in and they're in range of 2 units, giving them precision and basically shooting at 2 different units is pretty insane. So being able to take out like that Terminator Sorcerer from that unit, not only are they losing the utility of that Sorcerer, which would be, reroll ones to hit and lethal hits, they're also losing Cabal points, right? Like if you take out Ahriman and a Sorcerer, that's 5 Cabal points down the drain. They're never getting those back. That's a big deal in your mirror match. So the ability for you to at any time basically take out a whole bunch of characters and then shoot the rest, like if you just shoot like 4 Terminators into a character, pick it up, and then you put the rest into Magnus, that's a big deal because you're not taking that unit off the table, but 5 rubrics on the table aren't really going to do a lot of damage when they're missing their character. Infernal Master gives you, sustained shots, and the Sorcerer's got some good damage for his profile, especially if you give him the upgrade. He's strength 6, neg 2, 2 damage, 2d6. Like, he does a lot of damage as well. And then the Exalted Sorcerer has a d6, neg 2, d3 damage weapon. So, I mean, that's a lot of damage that is just not on the table, on top of losing Cabal points, on top of losing whatever enhancement they might have, like Lord of Forbidden Lore. So, or the Crystal, if they haven't deep struck, they haven't teleported the Terminators yet. Having the ability to basically take those units out and then use the rest of your shots on another unit is so profoundly powerful in the mirror match that it will frighten your opponents because of the power that you are able to display on the table. So you've got that going on in the mirror match. We talked about GSC, and then Custodes is another big one. Custodes have very powerful characters. These guys are really good. You've got Trajan, Shield Captains, and you've got Advance and Charge, and you've got the ability to use free stratagems with these characters inside of the unit. And Trajan does a whole bunch for his squad. He makes the unit immune to modifiers, so that really sucks. You can't slow them down, things like that. But if you see Trajan with the squad of Terminators or the Flamer Brick, you will pick them up. Once that unit loses its character, it is much less efficient on the board, especially Trajan's unit, right? Like, Trajan gives him fight first, free stratagems, just a really powerful character. Ignores all the modifiers. Once that guy dies, well, then I can hit them with the slowdown, and there's nothing they can do about it, right? So now that unit's just pinned to that spot, never moving, not being able to charge anything. So now next turn I can just use the squad that just took that character out and continue to chip away at that unit. So that's a big deal. It helps out in other matchups like the Orc matchup. If you see characters and you want to go after the characters inside of the unit, that's a big deal as well. But primarily, those abilities, the ability to do that really hampers on these armies that basically want to spread out, take the board over, move around the table, do a whole bunch of crazy nonsense. The Demon Prince really stops that. So I think that the Demon Prince is a must-have. So let me know in the comments section what you guys think. And let me know if you guys have tried it. Let me know what your findings have been. If they're different, great. I'd love to hear from you guys. So hope you guys enjoy this. We got plenty more videos coming out. And as always, guys, for the Dark Gods, I'll see you guys later.